All right, so quick overview of your Hot Spring Limelight or Caldera Paradise Collection control panel. So the Caldera looks a little different from this. It's really just the bezel and the colors, but the actual function is the same. These buttons on the outside here are what we call hard buttons, and then these buttons here are called soft buttons. The soft buttons correspond to what is actually happening on the screen. So the first thing I like to do is I hit the back button to wake it up. It's just going to go to sleep after a little bit of time, so you can kind of see everything that's going on. We're in the middle of a vanishing act cycle right now, which is why my Jets icon is blinking. So if you're in the middle of a vanishing act cycle or a clean cycle, this is going to blink at you. And it's just going to keep flashing. But if you're on a normal jet cycle, this will be solid. You actually see my lights are on. That's why this little incandescent light bulb is bright and shiny. And then this little water droplet just means my salt system is on and it's operational, which your logo light, if you have one, will also indicate that. We have our temperature. This is the actual temperature of the water, not the set temperature right in the middle. Then we also have something called memory, all off, and clean on this. So your clean cycle is simply a 10-minute jet cycle. In fact, I'll hit it so you can see it. I actually turned off my vanishing act. So I'm going to hit clean. That's going to turn on my my clean cycle for 10 minutes. It's perfect for doing water care. It's perfect for skimming the water, stuff like that. If I hit all off, you'll notice all my lights and my jets all turned off. And if I hit memory, it's going to go back to the settings that I was at before I hit all off. So if I wanted to, I could go into lights, and again, we'll go into it. So if I hit lights, now I'm in the lights menu. I'm currently on color blue. Let's say I want to go to aqua, so you can now see everything here is aqua. My exterior lights are blue, so if I hit exterior lights here, and I want to change that to something else. So right now I have those on red, which you can kind of see. Again, this is only applicable to Limelight hot spring spas. And I have the clean cycle on. I can actually hit back and go to the main screen, hit all off, and then hit memory, and I go back to those same exact settings. So then it's going to be red on the outside, aqua on the inside, and my clean cycle on. So that's what memory and all off and all that stuff is. So let's jump into lights and what's unique about those. So again, on the Limelights, what's unique, so if I hit lights, I can rotate the color in the top right hand side. So this is the interior color, so you can actually see it says interior lights. I can also put it on a color wheel if I want. I can dim it. There's 3 levels of dimness before it turns all the way off. So you could actually have your exterior lights on. Again, only Limelight hot spring spas have those exterior lights at this time. I could have just exterior lights on and interior lights completely off if I wanted to, or vice versa. And exterior lights, if I hit that, it is exactly the same thing. The dimness as well as the types of colors you have, they're exactly the same. So you can have that on. You'll notice it does say daily lights timer though on the exterior lights. So again, only on Limelight spas. But if you have this daily lights timer on, what will happen is when you turn it on, so let's say I turn it on right now, it's about noon, every 24 hours, right at noon, my exterior lights are going to turn on in the color that I have selected. So it's kind of cool. Like I have exterior lights on my hot tub, my personal hot tub at home, and I have them turn on at 7 o'clock at night. So I went out there and turned it on at 7 o'clock. So it's part of my landscaping, which is good. It's part of my landscape light, and I get a little bit of light and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to utilize that, the only issue is there's no lock feature on this. I have kids, they mess with my lights all the time. So sometimes my light schedule gets messed up. So forewarning, you've been warned. So that's how our lights work here. Again, if I hit back, it's just going to go back to the previous screen. So now I'm eventually back into my main screen. If you go into your Jets icon here, if I hit Jets, you'll notice that if your spa is equipped with multiple jet pumps, there's generally always going to be at least one jet pump that has 2 speeds. So you'll see it says Jet 1 low. If you hit Jets and none of your jets are on, it's automatically going to turn the first jet pump on low speed, or whichever jet pump is on low speed. That's generally for your fountain, because all of these spas are equipped with circulation pumps. So it's not needed for filtration, but it is used for vanishing acts and it's used for fountains. If I want, I can go ahead into individual jets and hit this again. So you can see Jet 1 low. I can hit that. Now it says high. Because gets a little confusing because I have 2 other jet pumps on this gigantic prism here. Again, most spas are only going to have 2. You'd think that if this one has a low speed, this one would also have a low speed, but you'd be wrong. This one only has a high speed. So if I turn on jet pump 2, it's high. If I hurt, then I can actually turn on jet pump 3, which is also going to be a high speed. Now I can also have them all off, and I can go into, I can just hit jet max, and that's just going to turn everything on a high speed if I wanted to. So that just turns everything on if you don't want to go into them individually and turn everything on. So, and then again, if I go back and hit all off, now everything's off. Turn on my lights. So that is your basic overview of the jets and lights functions. Let's dive a little deeper into the options part. So if we hit options here, you can actually see it says temperature, setup, and salt system. You're going to go into temperature and salt system more often than anything else. So again, if we go into salt system, we can kind of see where it is on the status indicator. We can increase our output level. You'll notice it always says replace cartridge down here. That's asking you a question. There should be a question mark under after that. Doesn't mean you have to replace the cartridge right now. You can replace it anytime, and you press and hold that, but it does not mean that you need to replace it right now. You can always do another status test by hitting this button here. You actually see this thing will say now testing because I hit status. And then there's your boost feature, which will temporarily boost your output level to 10 for 24 hours and then drop it. A little splash of chlorine would actually do the same thing as well. So you can see it's still okay. We're still in good shape here, so we don't have to worry about that. Hit the back button, go into temperature. You can see my set temperature is 102. I'm within 2 degrees of my set temperature, which is why my logo light turned green. And you can increase and decrease the temperature by hitting these soft buttons right here. Now it's kind of a silly little thing. They have a temp lock here to make sure that you can't adjust your temperature. So if I hit temp lock here and I hit this, now you notice it won't change. But you can always just disable it and do it right from here. Now you can go up to 104 before it stops. But if you press and hold this, and you hold it for about 3 or 4 seconds, you'll see it goes to 105. You can actually do that twice. You can go up to 106. It's an override. So for those of you that like it especially hot, you can get that really high. And for those of you that want to live adventurously, you can actually change it to Celsius if you wanted to right from this control panel as well. We're going to lower that back to 102. Now we'll go into setup. You know there's a summer timer, spa lock, and brightness. Spa lock is something that some people use. Most of the time it gets people into trouble. You notice if I hit spa lock, what will happen is nothing works anymore. It's really frustrating if you don't know how to get out of it. So the way you get out of it, it's in your owner's manual, but for those of you who don't read the owner's manual, options and lights for 3 seconds at the same exact time will disengage spa lock, and now I can go back into different things. So you know what that is. Summer timer, don't use. Okay, if you really want to know more about it, please give us a call. Brightness actually has to do with the screen brightness here. So you can actually make this dimmer if you want to. So if you want it very, very dim, you can do that. That'd be really hard to see in the middle of the day. But if you press and hold this button, what's cool about it is it actually will say it sets logo light brightness. So again, if you have a Limelight spa, you can actually dim it from right here. So if I want it on a lower level, I can do so right here. So we'll go to, if you want to there, Mr. Cameraman, look at the logo light. Some people find it really, really bright. So if I hit this button once, you'll see it go down a little bit. Hit it again, it goes down a little bit more. Or you can have it on a auto brightness, which is kind of weird because it uses the sensor up here, so it's not the best. But you can dim it right from your control panel. If we hit more here, we can also change the language. You can actually see the lights timer is on because I turned it on from the other side. Here's your vanishing act cycle. And there's also an auto clean cycle that will turn on your jets once per day if you're not local, if you're not using the spa on a consistent basis. And we can, again, please consult us before you enable something like that, and we'll go from there. Last really cool feature of this control panel, the last really cool feature is you can flip the screen. So if you hold the back button for 3 seconds, the whole screen will flip upside down. So if you are inside the hot tub, you can hold the back button and it will flip upside down so you can actually see what you're doing. And to flip it back, you just hold the back button for about 3 more seconds, and then you're good to go. So again, if you need anything, if you ever have any questions whatsoever, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We're always willing and able to help, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.